your passion is the whole skeleton key. Your joy is the whole skeleton key. I see so many women that come to me and they're like, I should do this business, or my husband said, or my friends are saying this. I'm like, but do you want to do that? Like, your passion is all, like, you have clues all around you. So that's the first thing. Follow your passion, follow that spark as long as it takes you, and keep following it. And it's going to lead you to some really surprising and mysterious paths, but keep following it. And that doesn't have to look like start the business on day one, right?
Welcome to the Confident Mompreneur podcast, where you can find solid advice along with warm guidance on motherhood, business, relationships, health, wellness, and everything you need to help add to your confidence and zest for life. And with interesting guests from all around the world, you'll hear real and relatable stories with impact and nuggets of wisdom to help you or the mompreneur meet the challenges of life with clarity and success. Now let's welcome your mompreneur host, Carrie Blaney.
Welcome on today, Suzy. I am so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I have been, following you for years and years, it feels like, on Instagram. And it's kind of like having a friend, on the other side of the phone that knows nothing about you, but you seem to get a glimpse into their life. And it's been so fun kind of watching you grow and change and do business after business and
Yes.
so many life changes and business changes and everything else. So I was so excited to get to have this conversation with you today. Do you want to introduce yourself for my followers and maybe people who don't know who you are?
Yes. Well, first of all, thanks for following me for so many years. Anybody that can hang through the roller coaster that is Suzy Holman, I just applaud and have so much gratitude for. Yeah, I'm Suzy. I've done a lot of things over the past 5 years, I'd say. I currently am most passionate about my retreat company. I love helping women host retreats. I think women gathering is the most, like, it's such an incredible force. When women can come together in community, they can absolutely change the world, but more importantly, they can change themselves. That's how we change the world. I have multiple seven-figure businesses. One, I co-founded a company called Jovi. And I hang out on Instagram just with my friends like you.
Yeah. And it's so cool. I mean, I remember, starting out watching you do Suzy School, buying a church, buying an Airstream, working with Jovi. Like, there have literally been so many ups and downs throughout your entrepreneurship journey. How did you get started as an entrepreneur, and what has that been like as you've gone through that kind of roller coaster?
Yes, the ups and downs are so real. Entrepreneurship is like the fast track for evolution and personal growth. And sometimes it is so aggressive, what we go on. My entrepreneurship journey, I always, even since I was a little kid, I would literally sell rocks at the side of the road. I would break open rocks with my friend, and then we would stand at the side of the road and sell the most sparkly ones. But then we took it one step further and we would gather the dust from the rocks and put it in little Ziploc bags. And I would sell it at my school as fairy dust. So I just have always had this like entrepreneurship bug implanted in me ever since I was little, I think. And I, like so many people, started my entrepreneurship journey with like what was the most easily accessible to me, and that was a camera. I started as a photographer and I loved that. And then I was like, ooh, how much further can we push this? I don't think I want to be doing this with all my time. So then I had a photography studio and I let that evolve. And then I sold the studio, and just so many evolutions, but that's kind of where it got started.
That is so cool. I always tell people the same thing, that I was like born an entrepreneur. I always had something going on.
Yeah, some of us just are, with a blessing and a curse if you're born like us.
Yeah. Well, and that was going to lead me to my next question. Is, you talk about the evolutions of entrepreneurship, but I feel like that can be really hard to do, especially because I think as entrepreneurs and women, we tend to tie so much into our titles and the jobs that we hold and the businesses that we run. And you've obviously done well for yourself in multiple businesses. How do you know when it's time to shift or try something new?
Oh, that's such a good question. And if you're any follower of mine, you know I like to try something new about every single month. It's just how I am. If something,
Multi-passionate people.
Yeah, and if something starts losing the juice and the joy, I'm not the person that's like, push forward and keep going. And I'm the person that's like, cool, do something new, try something else, do something different. Because what are we here for if not to have joy and experience passion? So I do think there's times in business when you're like, you're just actually need to push through this block. And you can tell the difference usually in your body. Your energy is getting low. You're like, oh, I'm having a hard time. I don't even want to get on the call. That's when you know, like, oh, you are headed for a path that's not going to lead to a pretty place. Burnout, been there. It's the worst. So I always say once you kind of are starting to feel those signs of this is wearing me down, that's your hint to maybe do something different.
Yeah. I feel like you've been talking about that a lot lately on your Instagram. It's just like recognizing those signs of burnout and being able to switch through it. Oh, what has been the biggest sign for you that you needed to shift and change, and what has been the hardest part of shifting and changing?
Oh, the shifting. So I'm about to do something. I'm about to downshift like I have never downshifted before, at least for the last, I don't know, decade. And I am about to, we're moving. Spoiler alert, we're moving to my hometown of Rexburg, Idaho. My parents are going on a church mission and they have this amazing property. So we rented out our house here in Arizona and I'm going to go live in my parents' house. And I don't know, live on a farm and garden and only do a few retreats a year. And the downshift is terrifying to me because I've been running so hard for so many years and also feels like the greatest gift of all time. I think the sign for me that when things started to shift was when things started to feel really heavy. It's like that what used to be like joy and curiosity started to feel like a heaviness and a fear. And that was my chance to just like get curious. Like, do you want to keep doing this? Do you want to keep putting in the work that a 7-figure business requires? And me with 4 kids right now in this state of my life, the answer is maybe not. I want to go with chickens and farm and maybe make sourdough for the first time in my life. I don't know.
That is so awesome. I love that you're like, you've done enough self-reflection though to recognize that that's what you and your family need right now. But I think that's a really hard decision to make. You said make it sound
Oh,
like it was just like
my
so easy.
No,
Oh
my
my gosh.
ego is screaming. My ego is like, don't you freaking dare. You have built this. You have worked so hard. Look at all we've done. It's all going to go away. And the battle of like, whew, sinking into like, it's okay. The release of attachment, like you said before, we get so attached to our titles and what we do for work. We get so attached and our ego gets so attached that we have to loosen those attachments. And it's not usually without a fight. It's not
Mhm.
without a fight. I've been fighting this for the last 3 months of just like, nope, I can't do it. I can do it. I can do it. I can let go. And no, I can't. No, I can't. No, I can't. I can do it. No, I can't. Yeah, so I may say it casually, but behind the scenes, it's been a lot of tears and really some real work on letting myself realign and unattach.
Mhm. That's so good. And I think that's like one of the hardest but most important lessons to learn in like entrepreneurship is like that it's okay to shift gears sometimes. It's okay to change directions, and it might lead us to something that's even better down the road.
Absolutely. If you feel the call to pivot and you don't, guess what? Like it's gonna eventually you're going to be forced to pivot when you lose your health or an algorithm changes or something unforeseen happens. Because once we feel the stirrings of like maybe we should do something else and we keep ignoring it, that's just pain. That's
Mhm.
just inevitable pain. So you can put up with like a little discomfort now, or usually something grander in the end is what I've noticed through working with hundreds of women that it can usually go to those routes.
Yeah. But it's so amazing that like all of the lessons that you've learned in all of these things that you've done up until this point are absolutely going to like carry on with you into like whatever next phase of life you go into.
Oh, it's so important, like to honor every single season, every single skill you've picked up, every single hard thing you've done, every single failure. Yes, the wins are great, but you know what's more impressive? When you fail and you fall on your face and you're like, cool, two people bought that, and you cry in your bathtub, and then the next day you're like, let's go again. That is what I applaud. That is what I think is brave. That is what I think is like that's what I'm really impressed by. I'm not impressed by like, oh, your business is a certain size. I'm impressed of like, how many times have you pivoted? How in alignment are you actually with who you want to become, not the business you want to build. Who are you becoming along the way? Is the question that 5 years ago I wouldn't ask myself that. 1 year ago I wouldn't have asked myself that. 1 year ago I'd have been like, how much money can you make, girl? How high can we make this ceiling go? And you're like, okay, that's actually motivated by something other than your soul. Your ego is doing a really good job and you're making her look really cool. But let's do something different.
Mhm. I think that's so important to like talk about though, is because I do feel like ego is something that pushes us a lot of the time instead of like really doing that introspective work to be like, is this actually what I want? And money can definitely be a part of it. I mean, obviously it like feeds into other things that we want, right? I want stability. I want to be able to pay my rent. I want to be able to
Yes,
take nice trips. I want to do those things. But is it the feelings that you're getting or is it the money itself?
totally. Totally. And like people that have got to make money, right? Like I have at one point had 10 employees. That was a nightmare. I was like, I got to feed all these people. I have to keep going. There's that honoring that like ego, whatever got you to the place of needing to continue your business, like even that deserves to be honored. It's not all bad. Like, but I do think that when we have those things that are required of us, we pull from a different well, and it's still a well. It still pulls up energy. It still can help, but eventually that well will run out when you maybe are self-sufficient enough. They say there's the most fascinating study that says like after someone makes $250,000, happiness does literally not increase the more money you make.
Mm,
Isn't that wild?
yeah. I mean, have you found that to be true in the businesses that you've
A
built?
100%. 1,000%. I was way happier. My first retreat when I don't even, the tickets were so cute. They were like $2,000. And I was like, I am the most successful, fulfilled human I have ever been in my whole life. Like jumping off the walls, so proud. That was the most successful, honestly, I've ever felt. And I've had $1 million launches and nothing compared to that. Like I had made a little sum of money, but I felt so good. Like I go back and anchor into that successful moment for me because that felt like true success. The money coming into my bank account didn't feel the same, which was
Yeah.
sad, kind of.
Yeah. It's so interesting though how that happens. And I think it's kind of interesting because you learn so much about yourself in being an entrepreneur and you really have to like learn about yourself and even those like dark and maybe not great parts of us that we would like to hide because it all comes up when we're, in those spaces and especially when we're in that hustle. We're just doing everything we possibly can to get where we want to go.
Yeah, I've heard it said that entrepreneurship is the most forceful route to growth. And I felt that so deep, just like, yep. And that's why I love female entrepreneurs is because it's like we are a different breed.
Mhm.
Truly, we are evolving at a pace. We are forced to confront so many of our limiting beliefs in order to just to show up online. Like that one step of like hitting record on the Instagram story, that requires you to dig deep. And then to put yourself out there to have an offer to exchange money for, that requires so, so, so much. I love female entrepreneurs because we're all on that same aggressive track of
Oh
growth.
yeah, definitely. What has that been like for you having to like grow and go through all of these evolutions in life and business, like kind of in the public eye? Because I feel
Oh,
like that makes it so much worse too.
yeah. I think sometimes I've handled it with grace and sometimes I've handled it not gracefully. And then sometimes I've just been like, Suzy, put the phone down. You literally are like, you can't actually handle outside noise right now.
Yeah.
And really kind of learning, like currently I haven't been on Instagram, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks,
Mhm.
just because it doesn't feel like the right place for me right now. Like with the move and all of that stuff coming up for my kids and my family, it's like that isn't the right space. So navigating it publicly has been a gift, and it's also been hard. Just like all of life, it's a gift and it's also hard.
Yeah.
There's two sides to every single coin. But I do know that when I show the hard parts, that's when people are like, I see you. I
Mhm.
feel you. You struck a chord with me. And that's just bravery to allow yourself to let people in and be like, hey, here's what's really going on.
Yeah. I find that that is like, again, like you said, that kind of blessing and curse of, being in the social space is like people feel like they have this access to you, at all points in time and all the pieces of your life and stuff. But also, there are some parts of us that we don't necessarily want to put on social media or aren't ready to until it's, we've kind of worked through some things
Processed it.
and
Yep.
processed it. But just like, the bravery that it takes to be vulnerable in that space is a lot, and I've always really loved your content because of that, so
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. That means a lot. I think that looking back over my journey, I think the times when I've had the most impact has never been when I've like launched a course and it's been so successful and you learned how to make a marketing funnel. It's never been that. It's been the moments of like vulnerability when I'm like, I'm the same as you. And this is what I'm going through. And then women all of a sudden feel like maybe they have permission to be the hot mess, or they have permission to be scared, or they have permission to pivot for the 400th time because they feel like they have to, you know?
no, it's really great to see, and it's real to what we're all going through, like, and
Right.
like you said, that permission, just being given it by one person, just like is kind of validating, even if it's, just someone online that through a screen.
And I think that like who we follow isn't by accident. And I always think that there's like Instagram angels. Have you ever just opened Instagram and you're like, that's exactly what I needed to hear or
Mhm.
see right now? That happens to me all the time. And I think that like that happens by not mistake. Like that's what's so cool, I feel like, about the social world for sure.
Oh yeah, I have created and found like amazing friendships. Some of my best friends have come through social media, and it's like it just happens how it's supposed to. And again, everything's a blessing and a curse, and you can use it as you want. And you can also choose who you follow and who you unfollow to make it a safe space for yourself too.
Totally, totally. And I feel like that's so underrated, like protecting your energetic space. Like recently I've gotten really into X, Twitter.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I like it. Like that makes me laugh that I actually really like it. I really like understanding what's going on in the political world. I like hearing both sides. And that like that I've noticed sometimes when I can go to Instagram, I will feel an immediate like drain. And then sometimes I will go to a podcast like the one we're on. I'm like, oh, I feel uplifted. And I do think setting some like boundaries for yourself and your psyche is what helps you be able to stay in entrepreneurship for the long haul.
Mhm.
Because it does, if you just like consume, like you can't get into creation mode. It's so easy to slip into comparison. There's so many little parts inside of you screaming that are like, I want that. I wish I was that. And so like almost limiting access to that has been helpful for me.
No, I 100% agree. That's something I've been trying to focus on more is like setting some boundaries around that because it's so easy with like access to it all the time to just get stuck in those like comparison cycles and loops and things, and it can be very draining. What are some of the boundaries that you've set around either social media or your businesses to protect like your psyche, family time, and those types of things?
Yeah. Well, I never go on Instagram on the weekends. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm completely off. And I give myself the permission to not show up when I don't feel like showing up. I feel like the message is like show up, be consistent. And I haven't actually found that to be true at all. I have found show up when you are aligned. I like currently I said I haven't been on Instagram for a couple weeks and I've grown a few thousand followers because when I did show up, I showed up in alignment. I made content that really felt good for my soul. And then it's like, okay, something else. My family needs my attention right now. This move needs my attention. So I allow myself to honor my own energy as a boundary instead of listening to all the advice out there that says, show up when you just show up, fake it till you make it, keep showing up. Come on, people. We can sense when you don't want to be here. We
Right.
can read from a mile away. Our BS detectors have only just gotten better as Instagram has been. We're like, she's putting that Canva graphic up because someone told her that she needs to show up every single day. Actually, she doesn't, because if she showed up one time and made one heartfelt story, that's going to get her 10 more clients than the stupid just show up because I have to ever will. So my energy creates the boundary for me. And I haven't always been good at honoring it, but now I am freaking phenomenal at it. And it feels really good and free and awesome. Work boundaries. I never work past 2 p.m. Never really work when my kids are home. So or try not to at least. And I take on way less than I used to so that I can keep those boundaries and not even really be on my phone really when my kids are around.
I love that. I love both of those. Those are great. I definitely I struggle with the Instagram thing, feeling like, you have to like trick the algorithm and, do certain things and post once a day and like post at certain times and, do the whole thing because it's like every social media person tells you that that's what you should be doing, but I agree. I really struggle with it sometimes.
I just want to shake those social media people and say, stop saying this. If there was enough women to be like, actually, no, we will not be doing that. We are cyclical. We have energy levels that are different than every time of the month. And when I stop showing up 4 times a day, then I give Suzy behind me permission to stop showing up 4 times a day. And like, look, there is also proof that it can be built in a different way. And the more of women waking up and honoring them, this is pushing through hustle. It can be fine and it gets us a lot of places. Like it got me very successful businesses, but also got me really burnt out. And so that's when I was like, there has to be a different way. But fighting against that, it almost felt like that programming implanted into me and like show up every day, be consistent, be on stories, then on reels, and trick the algorithm, like you said, like that was implanted so deep in me. And I'm assuming it is probably for a lot of your followers too, that I hope more of the conversation can open to the world of like, but what if we honored our bodies? But what if we honored our energy? But what if we honored our joy and our peace? Could there be a different way? If someone was screaming that message as much as that people are saying, show up every day, like I think we'd see the world start to change.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I love like having this platform where we can talk about things like this because I think especially on places like Instagram, you just see this like, picture perfect view that people like to put on there. And we don't really get to dive deep into, well, actually, this isn't changing my, algorithm. Like it's actually just fine and I actually do better. And kind of like debunking those things that we think we have to do in order to be successful.
Totally. I mean, there also are the like just rules that are annoying of Instagram. Like you got to have a hook, but that's less of a rule of Instagram. That's like a human psychology.
Yep.
Like you need to tell people why they should listen to this conversation versus just be like, I really hope people listen to this random rambling conversation, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So when you were kind of switching from the hustle mindset into this more aligned, leading with your body type of mindset, what were some of the like changes that you made? Was there like journaling practices that you do? I know like meditation is often a helper in those things. Anything like that that you do?
Yes. Oh my gosh. If you guys don't have the Insight Timer app, for meditation. It's free. It is the most incredible. You can be like, I only have 5 minutes to meditate. And there's like 5-minute ones, or there's 10 or 20 or 30. That has been a really big tool. But the biggest thing for me is just getting help, truly getting a coach to like pass, hey, this is what's going on with me, like to help hold me accountable to what I say I want to do, and really be able to turn that mirror and reflect back to me of, this is what you're saying. Is that what you're really wanting? I just think that life is a team sport, and getting a coach has really been the most helpful thing, probably, for me.
Yes, I love that. We all need help, no matter like
Yes,
what
100%.
level we're on. There's always somebody that can help us see something in just like a different way. And like you said, that accountability is so big, because we may say something, but then our actions are doing something that leads us in a completely different direction. And we don't see it without that like reflection from that other
Totally.
person.
Totally.
I love that. I think that's so good. And, like that can come in so many different things, whether it's like a coach or therapy or
100%.
whatever. Even our friends can serve as that sometimes.
Totally. Totally. It's just like anyone besides you, just like swirling to death in your own dangerous thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have done obviously a lot of your own businesses. You're still doing your retreats and everything like that. And you've helped, I don't even know how many women start their own businesses. What are like the top 5 things that you think are most important for new entrepreneurs to know getting into it?
Your passion is it. Your passion is the whole skeleton key. Your joy is the whole skeleton key. I see so many women that come to me and they're like, I should do this business, or my husband said, or my friends are saying this. I'm like, but do you want to do that? Like, your passion is all, like, you have clues all around you. So that's the first thing. Follow your passion, follow that spark as long as it takes you, and keep following it. And it's going to lead you to some really surprising and mysterious paths, but keep following it. And that doesn't have to look like start the business on day one, right? It's like, oh my gosh, like I said, with my move to Idaho, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really into this flower farming idea. So I'm like on Pinterest, and I'm like figuring out what flowers grow in Idaho. And I'm so excited about the idea. And I'm just like buying books on it. And that just sounds really fun to me. It's like, oh, I have no idea where that will lead. And that spark may fade out, but like, let yourself follow it one little step a day, instead of jumping to, but flower farms aren't going to make any money. And like, it snows in Idaho 9 months of the year. Do you honestly think you can have, like, why? You don't have to go to like, this outcome is not going to be great. Just follow the spark for the freaking purpose of following the spark. Number one. That's number one. Number two, I would say everything you need is already in front of you. The steps you need to take, they're not like, you don't need to like go out searching for the next course or whatever. It's right in front of you. It's like a yellow brick road that lights up one step at a time. Take one step and then see what's there. Everything you need to get going, to be where you're at in life, just look around you. It's already there. Stop searching so hard for it. It's literally already there. 3, I would say people get really tripped up on like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? This just doesn't feel deep enough. A flower farmhouse is going to be connected to my purpose. I would say, I hate that question. I think that everyone has the same purpose. Everyone. I think we're here to share love. I think love is it. How much love and joy can you share and create and feel love towards yourself and others? And I think love is the purpose. That's the under of every purpose that we try to say is love. Just allow that to be enough. And that, and following the spark and taking the step that is lit up right in front of you, like, you're already on your path. I don't even think I need to do 2 more. That's like, do those 3.
I love that, because for multi-passionate people like me, it can feel like a failure when I decide to like drop something or leave something and pivot to something else that sparked my interest. But it's awesome that you are giving permission for that, because there's always something new and something interesting that I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds so fun. I want to go do that.
I have written in my Instagram bio, no one wants to watch you play by the rules. No one wants you to watch you be the same thing for the next 7 years. Like, Unless you want to and you're so juiced up by it for 7 years, then we absolutely want to. We just want to watch you be in joy. That's all we want. That's all people want, is to like you emit this radiation of like joy and fun. And they're like, I want whatever that is. Okay, now we're going on a different journey. But people don't we don't often give ourselves permission for that. We're like, what's the outcome? What's the payday? What's the KPI, ROI on XYZ?
Yeah.
It's just no fun.
Yeah. And I mean, while those things are definitely important in business, they're not everything. And I feel like it's so easy to get wrapped up in the what we should be doing type of things or how we should be growing, when really life is just an adventure and I'm just out here doing random side quests and it's the
This
funnest thing ever.
it. I mean, there has to be, okay, you can't all be like completely all random side quests. I may have given the impression that's like just follow your joy and let it be whatever. So if you think of like the yin yang symbol, right? The yin yang symbol, white on one side, black on the other side, there's a white line going through it, then there's a dot on each side of each color. And it's like, this is showing the feminine and masculine. And like the goal is to be in balance. The goal is not to be just a life of random side quests. You do need the masculine, like the structure, the ROI, the like, how is sometime like be the yin yang, be in balance. And like when you come into a life of someone that's in balance, you can feel it. You're like, wow, that person is not motivated all by hustle, or that person is not just all over the place. Like the balance of the masculine and the feminine together, like the structure and the flow, that is such a seeking that is a beautiful quest.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think it's so good. And I always tell people that it's like, especially for women like us that are trying to do it all, right? Running businesses, having families, like moving, doing all of the different things. It's all about like harmony instead of balance. Because balance, I think, is just like
Impossible. And then it
impossible.
shifts depending on the moment.
But like you said, just the harmony between, the yin and the yang in everything in life. How has it been for your family as you've gone through all of these changes? And you have 4 kids, right?
I do. Yes. Yeah. They're
And as
such
they get
supers.
older and those changes happen.
Yeah. I think that part of my business changing is my family evolving. Like, woo, teenagers. Like, I have a pre-teenager and I'm like, this is going to require more time. This is going to require me to like really dig in and really be present. And I think, I had this cool dream once about my kids. They were like with me on this raging river. And I was like, what am I doing? Why did I take them on this dangerous river? This is going so crazy. And it came so clear for me, like, your children were meant for you. Therefore, they are meant for fast waters. And my kids have hung in with all of this. They are incredible. They're my sources of inspiration and joy. And I think they're meant for it. Whatever kind of mom you are, whatever kind of business owner you are in combo, your kids can handle it.
Oh, gosh, I love that. I love that so much. And it's so true. I mean, our kids are just a reflection of us as their mothers. And, the actions and the things that we do and the words that we say all reflects onto them. And they grow and adapt. And they're so smart, smarter than people give them credit for.
Yeah.
They can figure it out.
And it's always a good, like a rule test, like a, test for me, is I'm like, if ever I'm asking myself to do something, I'm like, would I ask this of my daughter at 37? Would I be like, would I make her do that? And I'm like, I wouldn't make her do that. I would not. So sometimes running our self through that little lens helps me in my decision making, for sure.
No, and it's a great question to ask. I always ask would I say that mean thing that I'm saying in my head to my best friend or my child? Well, if the answer is no, then we should probably work on our own self-talk there.
Yeah, for sure. The constant self-talk, we'll be working on that till the day we die, I feel like. It's a worthy quest.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something that we're always going to be, working on and trying to be better. So your retreats, how long have you been doing them and what kind of retreats do you lead and how do you help other women that are working on retreats because I'm actually hosting my first retreat in November.
So proud of you. That's amazing. That's going to be the juice of your whole life. Bringing women together is there's so much magic. We enter into this frequency together where we all are uplifting one another and pouring in to each other. So my retreats have always been business focused. Like it's always been female entrepreneurs. Some of them have been really masculine, like, hey, we're coming to this retreat to learn how to do this one process. And lots have just been like, let's get together and see kind of what comes up. I always have like a workbook and we do a lot of internal work because what I have learned is that to work on your business the most effectively, you work on yourself. So we come together, we work on ourselves, we look what we can see in other women we can't sometimes see in ourselves. But when we're in a retreat, it's just like a room of mirrors. And suddenly you can see like, oh my gosh, she's so amazing at this. I wish you could just see how great she is. And you're like, that's because you wish you could see that in you. It's just such a beautiful and sacred ceremony. So I'm actually going to be teaching people how to host retreats, how to lead them through this introspection work, how to facilitate the conversations that change people's lives in a course of a couple of days. Because it's the deepest work and calling I feel called to right now is to get more women gathering. So if people are listening to this and they're like, feel the call that like, I'm a gatherer, but I don't know exactly what to do. I just feel the pull to get women together. I would love to help. But if you're like, I just need to be in community, like Kyrie, go to her retreat, get into a community of women. It will change your life.
Oh, yeah. I've been to multiple women's retreats, and there's just like something magical that happens. It's like all the right people in all the right place at the right time. And it almost feels as if it was created just for you in that moment with everything that you need. It's
Absolutely.
so
Because it is.
amazing.
Because it is. Like that's how the energetic field works. That's exactly because it is. It's so cool.
Yeah. So my retreat that I am hosting in November will be for women who are survivors of sexual assault. And so it's just going to be very small local retreat, but I'm like super excited about it because I feel like it's going to be such a healing process for not only the women that are going to be there, but me myself as I'm creating it and working through it too.
Wow. That is really brave and important work that you've been called to. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, thank you. Um, I was gonna say, so I think that, like Suzy said earlier, if you feel called to create those spaces, do it because it heals not only you, but
100%.
everyone else too.
Yes. Yes. And it's just also fun. And as we can tell, I like to have fun.
Yes.
Like that's my favorite medicine is the way of healing with other women for sure.
Yeah, which it's so amazing. I think, like you said at the very beginning of this conversation, when women come together, we are just the most incredible power and force on this earth. And I think there's a lot of things that are happening in today that try and tear us apart from each other, and just creating those spaces just creates that power of healing and
Well,
motivation and so
for
many
the
other things.
thousands of years before us, we were in tribes. Like the women were together 24/7, like around each other all of the time, helping and serving each other. And in the Western society, we got so disconnected, put on our own little islands. And then to make it worse, we have this faux connection, like Instagram, where we think we're connected. We're not. Like, I don't know, Kyrie. I want to know your kid's name, like it's not, it doesn't serve the same purpose. So we're like, I know people, but like it doesn't serve the same purpose of being in flesh with them and saying, they call them Tibetan talking circles. Like when one woman would experience a trauma, they would sit in a circle and each woman would go and profess, like, say her trauma so that they could heal each other. Like this is just a return to old ways. This is a way how it has been that we've been disconnected from. So please, if you're listening to this and you are the gatherer, do your work.
Yeah. It's so important, so important. My partner is actually not from America. He's from a third world country where it's village mentality, very much a
Mm.
village mentality. And I got to spend time with him and a bunch of people from their country. And it was just incredible, like the way that they like came together. And it makes me so sad that a lot of people, especially here in the US, don't have that village to help, especially like raising our kids. That takes a village. And then you add like, also trying to build a business on top of that. It's
Yeah.
like having another baby. And it all just takes so much. But I feel like, again, we're so disconnected and we just need something to bring us all together.
And it can be simple. Literally, it could be simple. Like just bring people together over a common goal or a common wound. Bring them together.
Yeah. So my friend and I sat down one morning and we had coffee with each other and we just like kind of, bitched with each other about our businesses and the things that were going on and, how we were dealing with this and that and the other. And it was just like sitting and having coffee with a friend was like one of the best things. And we decided that we were going to turn it into a business luncheon for women who own businesses or, are like top management at companies in our town. And she was like, well, are we going to invite guys? And I said, no, because sometimes we just need a safe space where we can come in with friends and just like, be dramatic for a few minutes and then step back and be like, okay, we got this. We can handle
Yeah.
this. This
Well,
is
we
fine.
have the energy gets like stuck. It
Yeah.
gets stuck inside of us. And like even just giving it a safe place to like flow out, say whatever you need, like it moves the energy so that
Yeah.
something better can take its place. But it's so beautiful. Did people come to your luncheon?
We're having our first one next week. So I'm so excited. We're
Yeah.
going to do vision boards and just hang out and chat. And it's going to be
That's
wonderful.
incredible.
That's
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
Love to hear it.
So as we start wrapping things up here, what are the next things that you're going to be doing? What should people know that you have going on to sign up for, whether it's retreats or coaching for retreats or anything else? This is the place to plug yourself.
Yeah, well, just come follow me at Suzy Holman on Instagram. I think with the move, I kind of want to go on a journey to find my hobbies. As I've got into the downshift, I'm like, wait, what does one do with their time when they're not trying to make all this money? Like, I need to actually learn. That's not a joke. I have no idea what to do. Besides read. I could read for like 7 million hours a day. The ACOTAR series is currently like taking my whole entire life. So it's my entire
Did you
personality.
read Fourth Wing yet?
Yes. Oh my gosh, it was so
The new
good.
book is gonna come out, and I'm like,
When?
ready.
When does it come out?
I think in January.
No. Oh my gosh. You should do a fourth wing retreat. Just kidding. But actually, I would go.
Great. That would be great.
And yes, helping people get their own retreats up and going, because not only are they amazing to gather, they can be an incredible business model that pays dividends for years to come. I have clients that circle back and we keep working with each other. It's at a retreat and then it's private consulting or then it's group coaching. So it's a really beautiful business model. In addition to it feels really good. So I'm going to help people get their retreat arm of their business up and going. But I'd love to hang out with you on Instagram.
Yep. She posts great things. We love her over there. And
Thank
even
you.
though she hasn't posted in the last couple weeks, we're gonna go over and
I'll be back better than ever.
be
Full
back
alignment.
eventually. No, I think it's great that you're giving yourself permission to step away from it for a little bit. I'm definitely feeling the same, and it's nice to have that permission and validation from each other. So, well, this has been so awesome, and you're such an incredible person, mother and entrepreneur. So I am so lucky that I got to chat with you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
being
for
here.
having me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for joining us today on the Mompreneur podcast. And if you like this episode as much as we did, give us a follow so we can invite you back every Wednesday. And of course, share it on all your socials. Being a confident mompreneur means uncovering your strengths and struggles so you can dive in and learn how your next steps could be your greatest.